Hey, good morning, guys. It's Monday morning, and everybody's ready to start that beautiful work week. And we're here in the Beaux-Arts Ford Studios. We appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We have a great interview this morning. We have St. Johns County District 1 Commissioner Christian Whitehurst in studio with us. Appreciate you always coming in, Christian.
My pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we got to go through and pay some bills first, and then we're going to jump right into the interview. Because we got a lot of stuff, because you got a big meeting tomorrow. We're going to talk about some of the items that are coming up tomorrow and your thoughts.
Absolutely.
All right. Of course, we got to talk about Beaux-Arts Ford. Since 1949, Beaux-Arts Ford Lincoln has been more than just a dealership. It's a local legacy built on trust, family values, and a commitment to doing things the right way. Proudly serving St. Augustine and beyond for over 75 years, Beaux-Arts offers award-winning service, unbeatable selection, and a state-of-the-art facility with 91 climate control service bays, a quick lane for no appointment needed maintenance, and even Ford's Garage Restaurant. Try the Jiffy Burger. Recognized with the Triple Crown Award and President's Awards, Beaux-Arts Ford Lincoln is where hometown service meets national excellence. Great pricing, friendly faces, and a better buying experience. Right there off of I-95 and State Road 16, Beaux-Arts Ford Lincoln. They are driven to inspire. We also have to give big shout outs to Fidus Roofing, Old Town Trolley, Bin 39 Wine Bar, B&S Signs, Facial Rejuvenation Center, Chiba Hut Toasted Subs, St. Augie's Pizza, Chris Lucero Bail Bonds, and St. Augustine Handy House. Support all our wonderful sponsors if you don't mind, because they are just great local givers. And if you would follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you can find us. You can download our app on the Apple Store. For you guys that don't have Apple phones or iPhones, it's a little more challenging, but you can message us and we can talk you through the process if you want to download that app. Hey, Blake, you're live back there, buddy?
Try my best.
All right. Yeah, Blake. And when I say we'll talk you through that process, Blake will talk you through that process, because I'm an Xer and I don't really know technology that well. So, all right, Kristen, this is the part of the day where we do the question of the day. I know you were studying all weekend for the question of the day, even not knowing what was coming. You were just going through everything you could possibly go through to see. And the question of the day today is, what's a cookie that you crave? Are you a cookie person?
I mean, who's not a cookie person? That's the better question.
Some people don't like sweets, and I don't understand it.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. They're not human. They're aliens.
If there are people who don't like sweets, I don't want to know them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get that. But
I like sweets, and of course, I like cookies. And my dad always used to put a glass of milk and an Oreo in front of us, and that was always pretty good. But I hate to be boring on a Monday morning.
That's a typical go-to for me. I rarely crave Oreos because I always have Oreos.
Oh, okay.
I have Oreos almost every day. So, with milk.
You can't go wrong with an Oreo and a glass of milk. That's pretty classic, but I feel like I'm just a chocolate chip cookie guy these days.
That's it?
Isn't that boring?
No, but that's classic.
Right down the middle of the road, and
that's
just give me a chocolate chip cookie and I'm pretty happy.
All right, Blake, do you have a cookie that you crave, sir?
I'll definitely say like the classic sprinkles from Publix.
Just the regular sugar cookies?
Yeah. But it has to be like the multicolored sprinkles one though.
Yeah. It's not regular sugar. It's got to have the color sprinkles on, because that's different.
That's different.
Oh, obviously.
Those cookies hit differently here in Florida.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. All right, and mine is Pepperidge Farms Mint Milanos.
Whoa.
Okay, so and I dip those in. Sometimes I'll go crazy and make chocolate milk, and I don't usually buy the chocolate milk. I'm a Nestle's Quick.
Okay.
Dip the Mint Milano in there. So that one's kind of my go-to craving.
Troy, sometimes I forget you have Pepperidge Farm money, so that's impressive.
I borrow it from Blake.
It's a very nice cookie.
I borrow money from Blake.
What?
Okay, that's what it is.
That's why I have 22 jobs, so I can afford Pepperidge Farm.
You got to feed the need for those Mint Milanos.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds kind of fancy now that I've said it out loud.
That's
So
right.
I didn't realize it was that fancy until I said it.
It's authentically who you are. You
Yeah.
know, you gave the truth.
Well, that's why
It
you
was a
have to
real
crave
answer.
it, so you can save up for it.
That's right. Very good. Love
All
that.
right. Well, I want to see what people are saying out there. And there's, pecan sandies. Okay. All right. It is now time for a quick check of the weather. And it is going to be mostly cloudy, but a beautiful day. It's not going to get into the 80s. It might see a little bit of sunshine at the end of the day, but very, very little rain, just mostly cloudy. So, all right. And that weather is brought to us by Ben 39. Discover one of St. Augustine's best kept secrets. Ben 39, tucked inside the St. George Inn at the north end of St. George Street. With over 95 boutique wines, 50 of them rated 90 points or higher by Robert Parker. It's a perfect spot for a romantic date night or relaxing after work unwind. Sit by the glass or bottle in a serene courtyard setting and enjoy music throughout the week. Open daily, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And just stop by and say, I'll have what Irving's having. I'll see Irving today at TDC. We'll talk about that. Ben 39, your taste to discover. And got to get Irving back in here. It's getting close to that Christmas time. And if you want to buy some great wines for a friend, or if you're going to a Christmas party, Ben 39 is where you want to be. All right, it is now time for the Hit the Blake's traffic report.
We actually do have actual traffic today.
That does not look good.
Yeah, so
Looks slow both ways on 95.
Yeah, so it looks like we did have reports that there was a crash north of International Golf Parkway. But it looks like the cameras update today are mile marker 326 and mile marker 328. So it looks like both sides like going past there are slowing down as well. So do please be careful out there on the roads today.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that traffic report is brought to you by Old Town Trolley. Climb aboard Old Town Trolley and experience over 500 years of history in the heart of St. Augustine. This fully narrated 90-minute tour features 22 convenient stops and covers more than 100 points of interest, including iconic landmarks like the Castillo de San Marco, the Fountain of Youth, and Flagler's Historic Hotel. With open-air views and all-day hop-on, hop-off access, it is the most fun and flexible way to explore the nation's oldest city. Your ticket also includes free admission to St. Augustine History Museum and local St. Johns County residents ride free with full fare guests through the Hometown Pass program at hometownpass.com. Old Town Trolley, the best way to see St. Augustine, one stop at a time.
All right, Blake, did you see the gas report from Sioux Falls there?
Yes, I did.
All right, thank you, Betty, for that. All right, so we have listeners in Sioux Falls.
Oh,
So
wow.
so they want to know what's happening in St. Augustine, and we have Commissioner Christian Whitehurst, and it's not your first time being in here. You've been here with us a couple of different times. Appreciate you coming in always. You're representing District 1, but it's a county-wide election, so you represent everyone. What area is District 1 for our audience out there, so that they understand when I say District 1, what that actually means?
District 1 is geographically the smallest district. It's just that northwest corner of the county. So really, it's a pretty tight geographic area, but the districts were the lines were drawn by population. So we're very densely populated in the northwest sector.
See, I'm of the age when District 1 was the largest.
Right?
It was the largest by geographical back in like 1990, 89.
Sure.
When I started with the county, and now it's the smallest. But that's that Julian Creek area, the St. John's
Correct. Very
area,
good. Yeah.
which is a very family-oriented district, and you're a family guy, so I feel like that you're a good representation of your district. What brought you to saying, I think I'm going to run, because your industry that you're in, I mean, you're in a retail type industry, doesn't scream, I want to be a politician. So what drew you into running for office?
As you said, I've been in the jewelry business for 25 years. I bought my first store in 2005, and my stores were up in Jacksonville, but I always wanted to know who my elected officials were.
Mm-hmm.
So even in my early 20s, I volunteered on a lot of campaigns at the federal, state, and at the local level. And after, I don't know, I would say 12, 13 years of volunteering and any number of campaigns. I had some guys come to me and say, hey, look, we have a need in District 1 and we'd like you to consider running. And at that time, I had just opened up my second location at the St. John's Town Center, again, up in Jacksonville. And I told them I couldn't do it. But by 2019, things had cleared up. Business was going well, and I had staff in place where it allowed me to run for this office. And so I was fortunate enough to run and win the office of County Commissioner.
All right, how does that conversation go with your wife? Okay, because I mean,
So-
because it takes so much time. You're already get this out of the way. You're already running your own business, which takes a tremendous amount of time. And every time I add something, that conversation has to take place. And this is a big add. So how does that conversation work? Like, or did she knew that you always had this burning?
No, she didn't know I always had it because I didn't think I had it.
Okay.
That's the thing is I wanted to know my elected officials. I was going to make my impact on the community through the private sector. And it wasn't until I was asked to run that I even considered ever being elected to anything. When I told my wife, she knew that it would take my time and she knew the energy and effort that it would take. But she also knew that by the time I brought it to her that I was convicted, I felt called to run. I felt that it was the time in my life that I could make the impact that we've been making over these past 5 years. And so she was very supportive. If she was sitting here, she would tell you she does not like politics, not one bit, but she loves me. And so she's been very supportive in spite of the many challenges that it's brought.
And I think that has to be a challenge because, like, what we do here is very much in the public eye and stuff like that. And there's criticism that comes. Like, I can handle criticism for myself, but I think other people around me that care about me take it more personal than I do. And that's probably one of the hardest things on family people is, like, when you're sitting where you're at, especially when you're running. You had a hard-fought campaign last go round, and there was some attacks that were happening. I think that's one of the hardest things to get through. But you said something that kind of touched with me right there. Is I feel I have a bigger effect on the outside than I do on the inside. Like, because people always ask, "Hey, when are you going to run?" I'm not going to run because I feel like the way Sunshine Laws is set. I think I can be more help to my community on the outside than I can on the inside. And it sounds like you started there, and then you're like, okay, so that transition, how did that take place? Because that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't see me transitioning. That's not an announcement on any election whatsoever.
Sounds like you have some news for us, Troy.
No, it's not an announcement.
I can start interviewing you.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best, Commissioner.
So how did that transition take place in your mind?
It was always about trying to make whatever impact I could on the local community, right? Whether it be up in Jacksonville or here in St. Johns County. I don't think everybody knows that I'm a graduate of Nice High School. My parents still live in the same house that we moved into in the late 90s in Julington Creek Plantation. So it really is just about leaving the community better than we found it. And so my parents still live here. Obviously, my wife, Courtney, and I live here, and we're raising our girls here. And if I have it my way, if I got to write the script to my life, they would raise their children here too. And so it's not really hard to mentally transition from the private sector to working as an elected official if the goal is always the same, to leave the community better than you found it. This is a generational legacy passion project for me, being an elected official. But had I never run for county commissioner, I would still be working like much the way that you do. You've used your platform to get involved in a lot of nonprofits, and you've left things better than you found it. And so that's my mindset too. Just try and do everything I can to leave St. Johns County better than I found it.
All right. Last year there was some turmoil within the board, and it was going back and forth, but it seems like it's settled down. And it seems like it's kind of coming to a more comfort, and you guys are working as a team much better. Is that just getting to know the personalities of your other board members, or is it, just there's going to be 5 different personalities and that's going to happen almost like a family reunion type situation? Because we're relying on you 5 to kind of come up with the best solutions. And to me, I feel more comfortable today than I did a year ago with the board. Can Could you feel that too, or is it just, it's just a part of the job? Because now you're on your second term. I couldn't ask this question of you in year one. So
No, that's absolutely right. I think I've worked with either 8 or 9 different county commissioners, apart from myself, and I have had disagreements with all 8 or 9 of them because we're different people. You don't want everybody up there nodding in unison. That does not produce the best result for St. Johns County. So we've always had disagreement on our board, and that's good. I think we get a better result when we have respectful dialogue and have those disagreements. With some of the newer commissioners, I do think they felt they had a mandate to come in and shake things up. And there were tactics used that I probably don't agree with. And I think that was early. They were learning the ropes. They were trying to figure out what the left-right parameters were and the most effective way to enact the change that they had promised people that they were going to make. I think some of that's calmed down. They're no longer trying to fire the county administrator and fire the county attorney. So that sort of volatility does not get us the result that we're looking for. And I do think we see a more collegial, collaborative board, not without our disagreements, of course. Again, disagreements are not bad, but I do think we are more unified and working together towards common goals.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're running, and until you're in, and my brief couple decades with government, we had new commissioners coming and going, every 2 years, and when they first come in, they don't really understand the true mandates that are in place and the restrictions that are in place. They think, oh well, why can't we just flip the turn on growth, and property rights very much restrict that. So I think that's a big challenge for new commissioners coming in. I do believe we should have some type of term limits on commissioners and city commissioners, and like we do at the state and at the federal level. But it does take one term to kind of get the knowledge you need to be the best you can be. So I think 2 terms is excellent. 3 terms maybe. 4 terms is too much. So that's where my brain set is. So one of the things that and we're going to get into that right now, is the comp plan. Now, when I saw the comp plan, I felt like it was going to get, and I said on air, I didn't think it was going to go through because I felt like it was too restrictive to property owners and property rights. With the current administration we have, I didn't feel it matched up with their thought process. But the comp plan did get denied. Let's talk a little bit about how the comp plan got denied and what the next step is on getting a successful comp plan through. So
yeah, to fully understand why our comp plan got denied, I have to direct you back to the Florida Association of Counties Legislative Conference from last year. And I mentioned it during my commissioner reports in December of last year. And essentially, a panelist said this from the stage at that conference. They essentially said that the state of Florida understands that there's concerns about growth all over the state. And basically 55 out of the 67 counties, there are major concerns about growth. But the state of Florida's policy is that whoever wants to move to the state from anywhere else in the country must be accommodated by the 67 counties. So if you try to shut down growth in the state of Florida, then the state is going to step in and make sure that you are accommodating the growth. This was in response to concerns about the Live Local Act. And this panelist essentially said, well, if you don't like the Live Local Act, be prepared for what's coming up in the next legislative session. He said, I get the sense that we're going to see another law passed to ensure that people have the private property rights that the Constitution provides them. And so from the 2025 legislative session, we saw SB 180 enacted by our legislature, both the House and the Senate. Our entire legislative delegation here in St. Johns County voted for it. The governor signed it into law, and so now we have the bill. It was originally designed as a hurricane relief bill because some local governments were trying, after a storm, were trying to prevent those property owners from rebuilding their property. Essentially trying to say, hey, we know there are a bunch of houses here, but now that it's been wiped out by the storm, we're not going to rezone it. Well, you don't have to rezone it. It was already zoned, and those
Mm.
people should have the right to go back and build their houses. So some
Well,
things
I
like
guess
that
like
were
a
happening.
situation like what is it down there, uh, south on the county on the beach down there where it kept getting washed out, and kept getting washed out. I'm sure that was happening up and down the coast, and
It's happening all over the state.
that's where it was happening. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So essentially, the legislature passed this law, SB 180. And when you look at why our comprehensive plan was rejected, the state points back to SB 180. There were 30 findings in our comprehensive plan that were deemed too restrictive, and most of that ties back into this new law.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's I don't even know if I was leaning on SB 180, but I was leaning on the property rights side of it, and knowing knowing our governor and the climate he's created. He's a property rights guy. He's looking to uh, eliminate taxes on ad valorem taxes, and cut those back tremendously. And we're going to get into that portion of it on the second half of this interview. So, I mean, in my mindset, I was like, I don't see this flying.
Sure.
And I didn't expect it to have 30 different things in it, but I expected it to be like kick back to us and say, okay, have a do-over. Is that where we're at right now? We're in a do-over stage where like we get a chance to tweak it or put addendums in to clean up from our side and see if the state accepts it again.
On tomorrow's agenda, we are going to discuss the consequences of SB 180 and how it played on the state's review of our comprehensive plan. And then, over the next few months, we are going to have substantive conversations about amending our comprehensive plan to comply with the state's rules and regs. So, yeah, we're going to have to get in there and amend the 30 areas where we fell short in the state's eyes, and try and still represent our constituents who want us to. Well, for instance, we did not expand the development boundary because I don't think anybody wants to see our farmland developed. Our board, since I've been on the Board of County Commissioners, we have denied every project that has been brought before us that would have encroached on the farmland. South of 208, west of I-95, down 207, we've denied everything because we want to protect agriculture in St. Johns County. It's such a vital part of who we are. Well, by not expanding the development boundary, we thought we were sending that signal to the development community that, no, we don't want anything here. I will just tell you the state thought that was too restrictive, so we may have to look at expanding the development boundary, which is not something we want to do. But again, we have to figure out how we can represent our county the best way that we can and still comply with the state's mandates.
Well, and I'm a proponent of preservation so that it makes it so challenging that the developer doesn't want to touch it.
Sure.
I'm a preservation guy. I know we live in paradise, and I've been here since '87. A little different world at that point, but I knew what we had. As being a preservation guy, I would love to see every chance we get, we put the dirt under preservation, because I really believe that's the only way we can protect it. Because that really, I have a developer hat that I wear also. That really makes it a challenge as a developer, because it makes it cost ineffective at that point. And instead of relying on you guys going yes or no on the denial, you make it on the developer, where it's like, that doesn't make sense for me, I'm going to have to go this route. What's the flaw in my thought process, or how can we expand that thought process if you think it's actually effective?
No, I think you're spot on. So I don't think there is a flaw in the thought process, and so much so that I followed Henry Dean's leadership on the Land Acquisition and Management Program initiative. Within the first 100 days, I was sworn into office back in 2020. Henry Dean had been leading the charge on a conservation fund, and we funded it in early 2021 to the tune of $500,000, and then we were able to quadruple that funding and raise it up to $2 million per annum as a sole as a siloed conservation fund. So we had a great conservation fund. One of the initiatives that some of the new commissioners came in with, and God bless them, they were representing their constituencies. They were doing what they thought was right. But this is one of the disagreements that we've had recently, is they wanted to do a property tax. They wanted to cut the millage. Obviously, we couldn't do a full rollback, but they wanted to cut the millage rate. And as a result of cutting the millage rate, we ended up cutting the land acquisition and management program fund back down to $500,000. So it's just
Can't do a whole lot with that. Yeah.
well, and just let me defend myself for a minute. I want to cut property taxes too. Believe me, I do. But we have no local option sales tax. We have no local option gas tax, and we already had the lowest millage rate in Northeast Florida and one of the lowest in the state. It is about a $20 to $30 average savings per household, the property tax cut. But now we've lost $1.5 million per year in a conservation fund that, as you said, if you want to control the land, you have to own the land. Right. And we wanted to keep more green space in conservation so that it would stay green forever. That was the thought process of Henry Dean and Sarah Arnold and Jeremiah Blocker and some of the other commissioners who voted for this. And the other commissioners just wanted to see people get some of their money back. I didn't think a $20 to $30 average savings was enough to offset the elimination of $1.5 million in conservation.
The protection down the road, like, and that's a thought process you guys have to work through, because one's immediate and the other one's down the road.
Correct.
And
look, reasonable minds can disagree. I understand there's people on both sides of that issue.
Well, if you're always agreeing, that means only one person's thinking. So, and that's not what we have you there for. All right. So a lot of people get confused. Now, you guys have not raised the millage rate, but they still see their taxes going up. And that has more to do with property value, correct?
That is correct. That's the assessment from the property appraiser, which has something to do with the private sector retail value, but also with the cost of living increases. There's a formula that's required by statute that Eddie Kramer could speak in more detail about.
Yeah, we had him in here. It was very confusing.
That's right.
I kind of nodded and smiled like I knew what the hell he was saying, but it's like, okay, yeah, I'm glad you're there, Eddie. So,
well, people think because they see their value go down on Zillow that their property taxes will then go down. And I've learned from Eddie and from others who work in the property appraiser's office, that's not necessarily the case. The bottom line is this: what it takes for us to pay a sheriff to come to work, a firefighter to come to work, or just the average road and bridge guy to come to work is a heck of a lot more now than it was 5 years ago. And so those assessments that keep up with the cost of living increase and payroll increases, it's vital in order for us to provide basic services.
Sorry about that.
Bless you.
That one was building up. I was like trying to fight it off.
No, you don't want to fight that.
But yeah. Well, I want to get back to SB, but first we got to pay some bills, and I'm going to have Blake do the Gas Buddy gas report. Blake, if you don't mind doing that, and then I'll get the music report.
All right, let's go ahead and get this up to full screen. All right, Gas Buddy gas report. Let us know in the comments what you're seeing for gas prices are across the county. All right, we have the Mobile Circle K at $2.77. Shell at 146 King is $2.79. Owens at 78 South Ponce is at $2.79. Sunoco at 450 South Ponce is $2.79 as well. Shell at 216 Ponce de Leon is at $2.79. Sunoco at 2199 North Ponce is $2.79. That's their cash price. Gate on Misler Road is $2.81. Shell at 2350 North Ponce is $2.85. Circle K on 207 is $2.87. And the gate on US 1 North is $2.89. That Gas Buddy gas report is brought to you by Chris Lucero Bail Bonds. Trouble with the law, called the name St. Augustine has trusted for years. Chris Lucero Bail Bonds. Available 24/7. Their experience and compassionate team works fast to get you or your loved one out of jail and back home. From paperwork to release, they make the process simple, discreet, and stress-free. No judgment, just help when you need it the most. When the time matters, remember the name and the number. Chris Lucero Bail Bonds at 904-822-BAIL. That's 904-822-2245.
All right, and now it's time for the live music today. Your music report is brought to us by, we get the information from visitstaugustine.com. Might have another sneeze coming, so just be prepared. I'll turn away. I got you. All right, we got Jim Lamb at Milltop Tavern at noon. Reggie Starrett at Trade Winds at 1. Babe Honey at Ben 39 at 2 o'clock. Josh Tennessee Worthy at the Milltop at 4:30. Southern Social String Band at Hurricanes Grill and Wings at 5. Mark's Hart at Trade Winds at 5. Taylor Roberts at Prohibition Kitchen at 6. The legend himself, Bob Patterson at O.C. White's at 6. Stu Weaver at Harry's at 6. Joe Downing at Salt Life at 6. And Fantogram is at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. I want to talk about that one too. Is at 7 o'clock. And that musical report is brought to us by the one and only Fidus Roofing. When it comes to protecting your home, trust Fidus Roofing and Construction, voted best of St. Augustine every year since 2012. As a GAF Master Elite contractor, Fidus installs GAF lifetime roofing systems and expert metal roofs built to withstand Florida's toughest weather. From emergency repairs to full replacements, plus they do pavers and gutters, Fidus delivers quality, durability, and energy savings with every job. For Fidus Roofing, give them a call at 904-355-ROOF. That's 904-355-7663. Fidus Roofing, where trust is built from the top down. All right, we're not doing the trends, but I do have to tell you about the amazing Facial Rejuvenation Center, our newest sponsor. We appreciate you guys coming in and joining us. And, of course, taking care of my good friend Sandy. She's happy with everything that you guys are doing over there. You guys are amazing. All right. Ready to look as young as you feel. Sometimes I don't feel that young, but I know what you mean. At the Facial Rejuvenation Center in St. Augustine, they specialize in natural, lasting results whether you're considering Botox fillers, advanced skin treatments, or facial surgery. Their expert team tailors every experience to your unique beauty goals. For more than 21 years, the Facial Rejuvenation Center has proudly served the local community, offering a wide range of services, including chemical peels, microneedling, dermaplaning, radio frequency treatments, laser hair removal, and more. Discover renewed confidence in a warm, professional setting because you deserve the love of your faith, the love to love. Okay, Troy, take two.
There we go.
Discover renewed confidence in a warm, professional setting because you deserve to love the face you see in the mirror. Call today at 904-812-5434 or visit frccenter.com to book your. I am so sorry, guys. I slaughtered your read on that one. All right, we're back to our interview because I have so many questions. We have so much limited time. So there's so many great things going on in the county right now. What is you're going into your 6th year? Is that where you're at?
I'm finishing my 5th year, and then at the end of November, I guess that will begin my 6th year.
All right, going into your 6th year. You've been in there 5 years right now. What is the one thing you're the most proud of, and what's the one thing where you went, I made that mistake?
Those are great questions. So two big things I'm very proud of is working with the sheriff. When I started as a county commissioner, our average deputy on the street was making below $50,000. And Sheriff Hardwick, it was a priority for him to increase the average pay of his sheriff's deputies. I mean, they're putting their lives on the line. As you know, they do great work in St. Johns County. And because of their work, that we are one of the safest counties in the state. So I'm proud to be able to say that we've made the budget decision to pay the average sheriff's deputy over $60,000 a year. So that's one thing I'm very proud of because public safety is my #1 priority. But something I'm very passionate about is playing ball. You would never know it by looking at me now, but when I was a kid, I played literally everything. If there was a ball and they kept score, I played it at one time or another. We never had the ball fields to support the children that were moving here. We have the #1 school district in the state of Florida. So, of course, families are drawn to St. Johns County, much like my parents were when my brother and I were in high school. And we were, woefully deficient in capacity at our fields.
And that's why people are like, how did you end up with so many artificial turf fields? Well, we didn't have the facilities, so I had to maximize the field that we had. So, an average ball field only held 300 hours, where an artificial turf field has no limit.
And that has helped us a great deal. And I think we've modeled our future efforts after what you started back when you were with Parks and Rec. I've been sort of just complaining and trying to be the squeaky wheel within the system very early on, and working with administration. they finally brought us a solution in 2023 where they said, okay, we've kind of cobbled together this bond that will be primarily paid for by developer impact fees. I mean, developers should be paying the brunt of the new fields as they are bringing people here, and the tourist development tax dollars. So I said, okay, I can get behind that. We're going to,
because it doesn't impact the residents that are already here.
No.
And it still gives them the facilities that they need.
We are not taking your very limited, precious property tax dollars to pay for these big facilities to accommodate new children. It's going to be paid for out of the developer impact fees, and we're going to let the tourists supplement the rest. And so we're putting the tourists and the developers in debt to build these 4 new regional parks that will all be open by the end of 2027. 2 of them we're going to cut the ribbon by the end of 2026, and that's the big sportsplex off of County Road 16A that will have, I think, 8 rectangle fields that can be used for all the things, including
fields.
the multi-purpose fields, but they can even fit them to do softball and baseball practice. Maybe not games, but at least to get practices in. So that's the thing I'm the most proud of. I think early in my tenure, the thing I would like to have back, maybe a little bit of a do-over, is we approved an apartment complex on State Road 16 before we knew that Grand Oaks was going to default on their development. For those who don't know, Grand Oaks is a big development of single family homes that was supposed to widen 3 miles of State Road 16, and that was going to take care of many of the capacity issues near World Golf Village, IGP, and Passetti Road, and they defaulted. So they are not building that 3 miles that we desperately need. I wish I would have had the foresight, because Commissioner Waldron expressed some of those concerns about Grand Oaks. Had we not approved those apartments, and made the roads go in first, I would like to have that one back. Since that time, and we realized Grand Oaks was going to default, we've denied everything. So I will tell anybody listening, we've denied nearly everything at that IGP State Road 16 intersection. But there's one that I approved before we recognized that Grand Oaks was going to be that big issue.
Yeah, I mean, the old hindsight 2020 situation.
That's right.
All right. One of the things, and I preach this a lot, and I'm our commercial to residential balance. We're like almost 85% residential and 15% commercial, and it should be closer to 70-30. And I know you and I have had this conversation. Every time you come in, I have this conversation. And
yes.
And can you give me a progress report? I don't have to beat you up over it because I've already done that. But
Sure.
Can you give me a progress report on where we're at to try and get that balance back, or get it to it? I don't think we've ever had the proper balance, so I can't say get it back. Where are we at with that progress?
Well, as you may remember, we rewrote the Economic Development Incentive Ordinance within my first year because I did not want to lose the PGA Tour's global broadcasting headquarters. And everybody said, well, they were never going to move PGA office buildings based right there in Ponte Vedra. But what most people weren't tracking is South Florida lost the PGA of America building to Texas. And we were competing with Atlanta, which had film credits. The state of Georgia gives you film credits. So we couldn't compete with that. And we were competing with Connecticut, where ESPN is, because they provide a lot of credit. So we had to raise our economic development incentives to be able to keep the PGA Tour's global broadcasting headquarters. And ultimately we did, and we were able to put in a competitive bid. We're never going to match Georgia and Connecticut, but we were put in a competitive bid. We were able to keep PGA Tour, but rewriting that ordinance allowed us to attract the public pharmaceutical facility, All-American roll-on, roll-off, and several other big projects. It allowed us to keep KEHE, which had been doing business in St. Johns County for many, many years, but they needed to expand. And we were able to keep them after some critical thinking on the part of the county administration. So very proud of what we've done there. But something else I've done to make commercial development easier is I've fought against this desire. We've had a couple commissioners who wanted to increase concurrency fees on commercial development. We've always kept those low so that we could attract business. It's the one thing that we have in our hip pocket to bring commercial development to St. Johns County, because we are so out of balance. And there was a fee that was proposed that would have cost the V Pizza that opened just north of the airport it would have cost them an additional $4.4 million
Oh my gosh.
to
Yeah.
open their
They wouldn't
doors.
have been able to.
They never would have
Yeah,
opened,
yeah.
right? And so
Can't sell that many pies to make up for that.
exactly, the
Yeah.
chicken wings are great, but they're not that expensive. You don't
Yeah.
want to pay $100 a slice
Yeah, yeah.
for your pizza. So, I mean, there are policies that are constantly being proposed that would have a detrimental impact on economic development and on commercial development here in St. Johns County. It's just reminding people that without our small business owners, without our commercial development, a lot of this stuff that's magical about St. Johns County starts to go away, because if you can't find taxes from the commercial base, the property tax base for residential has to go up to make the difference. Again, no local option sales tax, no local option gas tax. So we got to pay the bills.
All right. One of the things you always hear is, why doesn't government run more like business? And it's impossible for government to run like business. And I try and explain it, being on both sides of the fence. You're on both sides of the fence. You have your own business, and you've been in government now, going on your 6th year. What was one of the more startling, because I think every business owner goes in and, insurance really isn't on your side, but insurance is a big, big situation at the state level and at the federal level we have to address. From a business owner, when you went in, what was the most shocking thing where you go, hey, I want to do this, and they go, yeah, you can't do that?
Yeah.
What was, is there anything that stands out, or was it just constantly like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You definitely can't do that. Because people, I don't think people understand the handcuffs in your position and at the government level, when it's like, well, why don't they just do this? Well, you got to go through this, and this in government, where in private sector, you're making the decisions. So as a business owner, you're making the decisions. Now you have to work as a team along with all the other restrictions. So what was probably the hardest one that the pill you had to swallow? So,
how long does it take to build a road, Troy?
yeah.
I'm still not over that, and I'm probably never going to be over that. We have over $1 billion in transportation infrastructure that's funded. These are in federal, state, and local projects. I'm proud of the work that we've done, going to Tallahassee, going to Washington, and bringing back millions and millions of dollars in projects since I became a county commissioner. How long does it take to build these roads? What I learned, and what I'm continuing to learn, is that you can't grab people by the lapels and shove them up against the wall and say, get it done tomorrow or you're fired. Right? There are statutory processes that are in place, and we must adhere to those statutes in building the road. Going out for bid is a big deal. You may know who the best vendor is to widen this road, but you still must go through the statutorily required RFP process. It's a bidding process, and that takes longer than I'd like. You can't just build a road to Troy's standards. Hey, we need to get this road done tomorrow. Get out there, flatten the earth, pour the asphalt, and let's get people driving. You have to build it to FDOT standards. FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, they have very high standards. And as a result, we have beautiful roads all over the state of Florida. They are considered the gold standard for the country. However, it is a rigorous standard, and which means that environmental, the amount of limestone you have to pour underneath the surface, all of these things, the way you have to move utilities, the way that drainage has to be built. Again, a very, very high standard. So that all contributes to the length of time that it takes to just simply build a road that we needed 5 years ago and that we have funding for. And so that's been the biggest thing. And again, anytime I'm coming from the private sector, trying to do something in the public sector, I've just learned that there's red tape. There's statutory red tape. There's regulatory red tape. What I'm proud of, especially with Joy Andrews, is she thinks like a private sector person. There's creativity happening in our county administration. They're doing everything they can to think outside the box within the system that we are constrained by, and trying to figure out how to get things done faster. So we're working hard.
All right. And as a commissioner, you get hit with everything. I mean, some within your power, some without your power. Right now, there's a couple lawsuits out there. They've been out there for a while, and people are resurrecting them. Explain to the people that you're not involved as a commissioner on the day-to-day mean, you have oversight, but you're not involved in some of those day-to-day activities. The only two people that work for you, the commission, are
So, right, Joy Andrews, she's the county administrator. She's the boss who runs the county, and Rich Commando, who's the county attorney. Joy Andrews oversees about 1,600, roughly 1,600 employees, and Rich Commando oversees about 12 in the office of county attorney. I have 2 employees as a county commissioner, but I have 340,000 bosses. Okay, so I'm all over the county in all 5 districts, learning how we can make our county better. I do not have time, and neither does any county commissioner, nor should they have time to manage the 1,600 employees on staff. So anytime that there is an HR issue with personnel, it behooves each and every county commissioner to stay in our lane and focus on improving our county, working with constituents, working on making things better. We cannot manage those staff issues.
well, and there's restrictions of where you can't pick up the phone and call Ryan at Parks and Rec and say, hey, I want a baseball field here. You can't just do that. You have to go through the county, and I think the public feels, you have that ability as county commissioners, and all 5 of you, have to respect that and respect the person that you've hired. When someone calls and tells you that, how do you manage that? Because they don't want to hear, okay, I can't do that. You have to be respectful of, I'll take your information and give it. How do you manage those 340,000 people that aren't sitting where you're at and have to prioritize those things?
Most people are very eager to listen and learn how to work with. I will say we have incredible residents in this county. Anytime I have somebody who says, I need drainage, we need a facility, we need to get something done, we need more traffic enforcement over here, I will explain to them that I can't do anything by myself. I'm not an executive. I need 2 more votes. So I've sat down with people. We've had community meetings or meetings in people's living rooms where I can sit down and say, hey, here's the best way I think to advocate for what you want. But any county administrator and anywhere will tell you need 2 more votes, Commissioner.
Yeah, you got to
just because I want it, just because my people are asking for it, does not mean that I have the executive authority to do it. I need 2 people on that board to come with me and think it's a good idea too.
As a director, our story was you have to count to 3. I'm so old. We used to have 7.
Okay.
We had 5, and then we had two at larges. So at that point, I had to count to 4.
That's right.
So when it went down to 5, I only had to count to 3. So
math gets easier.
Math gets easier, but you guys have to count to 3 too. Anything we've left out, because we're kind of got to wrap up here. And
well, I know that I've gotten a lot of emails about, what are we doing about SB 180? Commissioner Arnold and I, along with staff, St. Johns County staff, Joy Andrews, Brad Bradley, some other staff, we were in Tallahassee last week. Speaker Garrison was having his designation ceremony. He'll be the Speaker of the House moving forward. We were meeting with our legislative delegation to discuss our concerns with SB 180. I want people to hear that from me. We are advocates for home rule, for local control. We want to have as much control as we can. So I want people to know that. And also, I just want to commend Commissioner Arnold while I'm on the air for all the great work she's doing with the Black History Museum. Just want to let everybody, this was a governor's initiative. The governor said we need to have a Black History Museum in the state of Florida. We know that we're the best place in this state to tell our state's history. Yeah. So Commissioner Arnold has led the charge on that. It's going to be a huge economic development impact for St. Johns County. I just want to commend her while I have the chance.
Well, when is Legislative Day? Because she's coming in to talk about it on legislative about Legislative Day. When is Legislative Day? Is it
February 5th?
February 5th.
We have everybody from the Alligator Farm to Asado Life to the PGA Tour. We have a lot of people coming to Legislative Day to represent the very best of St. Johns County. We have so many amazing things. I won't steal her thunder because she can talk in detail about it, but we're very excited. We hope everybody comes to Tallahassee on February 5th to represent St. Johns County.
Right, Commissioner Whitehurst, I do have a question for you about it's kind of talk about the property rights situation again, but last month your commissioner voted to delay a decision again on the agri developments after a special magistrate said that the original 5-0 decision was invalid. Can you talk about like the vote on the delay and what information are you trying to get to again before the commission decides to vote on the neighborhood again?
Yeah, Blake, thank you for asking that question. That's an important topic. As I said, we've denied everything that would have encroached into farmland, and the Agri-Hood is one of them. That's 3,300 homes, for those who don't know, south of 208, and it would terminate on County Road 214. So we denied it 5-0. The applicant appealed our decision to a special magistrate through a fluidra process. You can Google that to learn what it means. And the magistrate ruled that the applicant had a reasonable right to assume that they would be approved. Once again, leaning on those private property rights laws that exist here in the state of Florida. So the magistrate has given that ruling. I don't want to see us get in a lawsuit that we cannot win. Mm-hmm. That's why I voted to delay our decision. I was going to try and see if we could work it out between our county attorney's office and their attorneys that they've hired to avoid burdening our taxpayers with a lawsuit judgment that is going to cost us millions of dollars. We had other commissioners who thought that we should not hear it again and that we should not delay the decision. Again, reasonable minds can disagree, but I know that we've already had one judge rule that we did not have the right to deny this development, and I just don't want to see another judge slap us with a multi-million-dollar judgment.
Well, and then, I mean, you're paying for attorneys and end up with the same result. So, I try and defend you guys when I see this happening, and the city's got themselves into it too. You know, and I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have history. You know
what happens and how this works.
Yeah. So I do have history. So when I say these things, it's not like I had any inside information. I have old information just recycled. Right. So and unfortunately, some of the commissioners don't have that, but they will. Like you said, in year one, you're a better commissioner now than you were in year one. And,
I am.
And I think everybody's in that situation. So, Blake, I'm going to let you check the comments, sir. And I am, while you're checking those comments, I'm going to tell you about BNS Signs. And I just lost it. Stop that. BNS Signs. Want your business to get noticed and stay that way? Turn to BNS Signs, proudly family owned and serving St. Augustine for over 50 years. From bold vinyl lettering to towering pylon signs, they specialize in high quality custom signage built to last. Their expert team handles everything from design, installation, crane service, repairs, and maintenance with fast, responsive service that keeps your sign looking sharp. Make a lasting impression with BNS Signs. Visit bnssigns.com because when it comes to signs, they do it all. And I got to tell you right now, I drive past Veterans Village sign that BNS Sign did. Beautiful sign. Thank you guys. And you guys work with us on the price because there's nonprofits. We don't have a whole lot of money. And you guys are constantly doing that in the community. Also, I got to tell you about the Good Troy. And the Good Troy is St. Augustine Handy House. Need a custom or prefab portable building that's built to last? Come to St. Augustine Handy House, proudly owned by Troy Usina Enterprise and serving St. Augustine since 1988. With over 70 structures in stock, from sheds and barns to carports and offices, you'll find the perfect fit to your needs. Every building includes free delivery, leveling, and anchoring, plus easy finance options. Visit them today. That's where they've been since 1988, out there on State Road 16. Open Monday through Saturday, or call 904-823-9092. That's St. Augustine Handy House, where quality meets convenience and community matters. Blake, what do we got in those comments there?
All right, so I was going to lead off and say on this Monday morning, I would massively march my way through the minions and magnanimous comments today. Thank you, Bobby, for that.
Bobby, yeah, I saw Bobby. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to do it.
All right, here we go. All right, so we have Costco in St. Augustine's at 262. Buc-ee's is 262. BP at Lewis Point is 279. Wawa on US 1 is 281. Speedway on US 1 is 281. The Costco in Sioux Falls, South Dakota is 256.
There you go.
All right, Tim won first comment today for question of the day for favorite cookie. Bobby's was chocolate chip. Scott was peanut butter soft cookies, and Tim used to enjoy pecan sandies. Smoke and Spencer says that he's going to be at Legislative Day as well.
That's enough for me to go right there.
Indeed.
Mhm.
We did have lots of compliments for the commissioners, but there was a lot of comments about road work as well. I believe someone had like a question about when's the State Road 16 I-95 intersection is going to be completed. But that's more of an FDOT like U.S.
Yeah,
project.
that's what he was saying. His frustration is,
Yeah.
If we had that crystal ball, I think you'd instantly be reelected.
Tomorrow. Let's get it done tomorrow.
Yesterday. So, all right. It is time for the Stodum Stat. And today's Stodum Stat, not only is it Tom Petty's birthday, it is also Snoop Dogg's birthday. But on this day in 1973, probably one of the most iconic, when I think of Australia, I think of this building. It is the day that the Sydney Opera House opened. So I don't know about you guys. I don't know if it's because I watch way too much Wiggles with my son Ty. But when I think of Australia, I think of the Opera House with the woo. It's got the little flares coming out. People know what I'm talking about when I say that. I can't explain it. But that stat is brought to us by St. Augie's Pizza in downtown St. Augustine, right on the corner of Riberia and MLK. Go grab yourself a slice. Not today. They're closed on Mondays, but Augie and the crew will be back tomorrow. And they just serve up happiness over there. Any plugs you need to send out to anyone out there?
Well, you helped me. You helped me plug Legislative Day.
Mm-hmm.
The Black History Museum is something I wanted to mention, and we're really excited about that. So I think we've got it covered.
Yeah. So, Blake, what do you got as far as plugs go?
I got no plugs on my end, but just want to say thank you everyone for watching. We really do appreciate it. And if you guys, if anyone out there is looking to sponsor the 904 Now or use our studio space, you can feel free to contact my dad, Troy904now@gmail.com, or myself at Blake904now@gmail.com.
Yeah, because I don't think people really realize that we do rent out the studio at a very cost-effective. If you're looking to start a blog or do something like that, come to us first before you spend a lot of money. All right, my plugs are Lenny and I will be on Bollocks. Congratulations to St. Augustine High. They're still undefeated. Rough game the other night. They did held off Bartram, but they're still undefeated. And we have one more home game. Blake, great job on that production.
Thank you.
And also, I got to give you a good job on the coverage you did of the protests this weekend. Excellent job on that. And a lot of people were in the comments saying that calling our network liberal. Hey, if it's in the news, we're going to be there. And that's the reason I talk about the American Party and the red and blue got to come together to figure out what's going on in our world. But we appreciate you guys' comments. And if you would, come see us on Bollocks tonight. Bye-bye.